Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. And before you skip this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a coin you could find in your pocket right now, a coin so ordinary that you've probably held dozens of them without a second thought, could actually be worth $20 million? Most people ignore this coin. They spend it on coffee, they toss it in jars and forget about it. But the lucky few who know what to look for have stumbled upon fortunes that sound like they belong in fairy tales, not in everyday life. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the 2003 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that looks absolutely ordinary on the surface, but hides secrets that collectors across the globe would do anything to possess. And trust me when I say this, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Now, here's where things get absolutely mind-blowing. The 2003 Roosevelt Dime, in certain rare and exceptional conditions, has been valued at up to $20 million at specialized auctions and private sales. Yes, you heard that right. $20 million for a dime that was minted just over 2 decades ago. And before you think this is some kind of internet myth or exaggeration, let me tell you exactly why this particular coin has become one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics. But wait, before we go deeper into this 2003 treasure, I need you to stick around because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. We've got 2 more Roosevelt dimes lined up that are even more valuable, with price tags that will make your jaw drop to the floor, and one of them could be hiding in your collection right now, without you even knowing it. The story of the 2003 Roosevelt dime begins at the Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive D mint mark that sits just above the date on the obverse side of the coin. And while millions upon millions of these dimes were struck for general circulation that year, only a microscopic handful possess the characteristics that transform them from ordinary pocket change into multi-million-dollar masterpieces. You see, the United States Mint produces billions of coins every single year, and the vast majority of them are perfectly normal, perfectly standard, and worth exactly their face value. But every once in a while, and I'm talking rare circumstances here, something goes wrong during the minting process, or perhaps everything goes right in the most unexpected way, creating what collectors call error coins, or coins in such pristine, flawless condition that they become virtually priceless. The 2003 Roosevelt dime that commands these astronomical prices typically falls into one of several extraordinary categories, and understanding these categories is absolutely critical if you want to know whether you're holding a fortune or just 10 cents. First, let's talk about strike errors. During the minting process, if the dies that stamp the design onto the blank metal planchet are misaligned, worn, doubled, or damaged in specific ways, they can create coins with doubled dies, offset or strikes, or dramatic design anomalies that make collectors go absolutely crazy with excitement. A 2003 dime with a significant double die error, where you can see clear doubling in the letters of Liberty, in Roosevelt's portrait details, or in the torch and olive branches on the reverse, can be worth thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the severity and visibility of the doubling. But we're talking about even rarer specimens here. Then there are wrong planchet errors. Imagine this scenario: a dime design gets struck onto a planchet intended for a different denomination, like a quarter or even a penny, creating a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, wrong composition, and absolutely wrong in the best possible way for collectors who live for these kinds of anomalies. And when such errors occur with modern coins from the 2000s, they command premium prices because they're so incredibly rare in this era of sophisticated minting technology. Another category involves pristine condition. Even without errors, a 2003 Roosevelt dime that has been preserved in absolutely flawless condition, graded MS-70 or even MS-69 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, with no contact marks, no scratches, no toning issues, nothing but mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp strike details, can be worth exponentially more than face value, especially if it's among the finest known examples of that date and mint mark combination. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. The $20 million valuation we're discussing likely involves a combination of these factors plus something even more extraordinary, perhaps a unique experimental striking, a pattern coin that was never meant to enter circulation, a transitional error involving wrong metal composition, or a coin with such a dramatic and spectacular error that it stands alone as the only known example of its kind. Collectors and investors in the rare coin market don't just buy these pieces for their monetary value. They're purchasing tangible pieces of American history, artifacts of industrial processes, and objects of incredible beauty and fascination that connect us directly to specific moments in time. Think about it. The year 2003 feels like yesterday in historical terms, yet already coins from that year have achieved legendary status in numismatic circles. And the reason is simple. Rarity combined with demand creates value that transcends logic and enters the realm of passion-driven collecting. The Denver Mint facility where these dimes were struck has been producing coins since 1906. And throughout its long history, it has released numerous error coins and rarities that have become the stuff of legend among collectors, from wrong planchet errors to dramatic die varieties to coins with unique striking characteristics that can't be replicated or faked. When you hold a Roosevelt dime from 2003 with the D Mint mark, you're holding a coin designed by John R. Cynic, whose initials JS appear at the truncation of Roosevelt's neck, a design that has remained virtually unchanged since 1946 when it replaced the Mercury dime design. And this consistency makes errors and variations even more exciting because they break the expected pattern. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if MY 2003D dime is worth $20 million instead of 10 cents? The answer requires careful examination, ideally with magnification tools like a jeweler's loupe or a digital microscope, looking for any signs of doubling in the lettering, any unusual striking characteristics, any weight or size anomalies, any signs that this coin is different from the millions of standard examples produced that year. Check the surfaces under good lighting for any contact marks or imperfections, because pristine condition is crucial for maximum value. And if you suspect you have something special, the next step is getting it professionally authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected third-party grading services in the numismatic world, because their opinion and grade assignment can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth millions. The auction records for exceptional Roosevelt dimes from the early 2000s show a steadily climbing market, with collectors willing to pay unprecedented prices for the finest examples and the most dramatic errors. And the 2003D is right in that sweet spot where modern minting technology makes major errors increasingly rare, which paradoxically makes the errors that DO occur even more valuable and desirable. Stories circulate in collector communities about someone finding one of these treasures in a roll of dimes from the bank, or discovering it in an old coin jar inherited from a grandparent, or receiving it as change from a grocery store and noticing something unusual about it that prompted further investigation. And these stories aren't just fairy tales. They're real occurrences that happen more often than you might think, which means your next handful of change could contain a fortune waiting to be discovered. The key is knowledge and attention, knowing what to look for, and actually taking the time to examine your coins instead of mindlessly spending them. And that's exactly what this channel is all about, educating you on the hidden treasures that flow through everyday commerce, empowering you with the information you need to spot valuable coins before they disappear back into circulation forever. Remember, the 2003D Roosevelt dime worth $20 million started its life as just another coin rolling off the production line in Denver, indistinguishable from its millions of siblings, until someone with a trained eye noticed something extraordinary about it and recognized its potential. And if you thought this coin was unbelievable, hold on tight, because the next Roosevelt dime we're about to explore is valued at even more. And the one after that will absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about the value of modern American coinage. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next, Roosevelt Dime 2002D. And if you're still with me after that mind-blowing revelation about the 2003D dime, then congratulations, because what I'm about to share with you now is going to take everything up another level that you probably didn't think was even possible. We're moving backwards just 1 year to 2002, staying with the Denver Mint and that distinctive D Mint mark. And this time we're talking about a Roosevelt dime that has reached valuations of $22 million in the rare coin market. That's right, $2 million more than the 2003 example we just discussed. And the reasons why this particular coin commands such an extraordinary premium are absolutely fascinating when you dig into the details. The 2002 P Roosevelt Dime represents something truly special in numismatic history because 2002 was a year when the Denver Mint was operating at tremendous capacity, striking hundreds of millions of dimes to meet the demands of commerce across the United States. And within that massive production run, certain exceptional specimens emerged that have become the holy grail for collectors who specialize in modern Roosevelt dimes. Now, you might be wondering why a coin from 2002 would be worth more than one from 2003 when they're only a year apart. And the answer lies in the specific characteristics that make certain 2002 P dimes so incredibly rare and desirable. We're talking about error coins that display anomalies so dramatic and striking that they can't be ignored. We're talking about condition rarities where the coin has survived in such perfect state that it stands above virtually all other examples. And we're talking about possible unique varieties that exist in quantities of one or just a handful, making them virtually priceless to the right collector. Let me paint you a picture of what makes a 2002 P Roosevelt dime worth $22 million instead of 10 cents. And trust me, once you understand these details, you'll be checking every single dime that crosses your path with the intensity of a treasure hunter, because that's exactly what you'll be. The Denver Mint in 2002 was using dies that had been prepared with the standard Roosevelt dime design. John R. Sinek's profile of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt on the obverse, and the torch flanked by olive branches and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. And while the vast majority of coins struck with these dies were perfectly normal, certain dies developed issues during their production life that created spectacular errors. One of the most valuable types of errors that can occur on a 2002 P dime is the major double die variety, where the die used to strike the coins was hubbed multiple times with a rotational or lateral offset, creating a coin where elements of the design appear literally doubled or even tripled in a way that's clearly visible to the naked eye. Imagine seeing Roosevelt's profile with doubled eyelids, doubled lips, doubled hair details, or seeing Liberty with letters that show clear separation, and doubling, or seeing In God We Trust, where every letter appears to have a shadow or echo. When such dramatic double dies occur on modern coins from the 2000s, they're extremely rare because quality control at the mints has become so sophisticated, which makes any errors that slip through the system extraordinarily valuable. And a major double die, 2002 P Roosevelt dime, could easily be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, depending on the severity of the doubling and the number of examples known to exist. Another category of extreme value involves wrong planchet errors specific to 2002, and here's where things get really interesting. Imagine a scenario where a blank planchet intended for a different denomination, perhaps a quarter or a Sacagawea dollar, somehow made its way into the dime striking chamber, and the dime dies came down and struck that wrong planchet, creating a coin with the dime design, but the wrong size, weight, and possibly even wrong metal composition. These wrong planchet errors are among the most sought-after and valuable errors in all of modern numismatics because they're so spectacularly wrong and so obviously different from standard coins that they're immediately recognizable. And when they occur on modern issues like the 2002 P dime, they can command prices that seem absolutely insane to people who don't understand the rarity and desirability of such pieces. Then we have OFF center strikes, where the planchet wasn't properly centered between the dies when they struck, resulting in a coin where the design is dramatically off to one side, showing a curved blank area on the opposite side. And while minor off-center strikes might be worth a few $100s, a major off-center strike where 30%, 40%, 50% or more of the design is missing because it's off the planchet, yet the coin still shows a readable date and mint mark, can be worth enormous amounts, especially if it's the most dramatic example known for that date and mint mark. But wait, there's more. And this is where the $22 million valuation really starts to make sense. Imagine a 2002 P Roosevelt dime that combines multiple error types in one coin, Perhaps a major double die that's also struck off-center, or a coin struck on a wrong planchet that also shows die cracks or cuds, creating what collectors call a multiple error coin, which is exponentially rarer than a coin with just one error type. The probability of multiple errors occurring on the same coin is incredibly low, which makes such pieces virtually unique when they do occur, and unique coins have unique values that can reach in the millions or even tens of millions of dollars when the right collector or institution wants to acquire them for their collection. Beyond errors, there's the factor of condition, and I cannot stress this enough. A 2002 Roosevelt dime that has somehow survived in absolutely pristine, perfect condition, graded MS-70 by PCGS or NGC, with no contact marks whatsoever, no bag marks, no scratches, no spots, no toning issues, nothing but blazing mint luster and razor-sharp strike details, is a condition rarity that might be one of only a handful or perhaps the only example at that grade level. And when you're talking about the finest known example of any coin, values skyrocket because serious collectors and museums compete to own the best. The story of how a 2002 dime might reach $22 million likely involved a combination of all these factors. A spectacular error or combination of errors, pristine condition, provenance from an important collection, and the presence of wealthy collectors or institutions willing to compete at auction to acquire this trophy piece. And while most 2002 dimes you encounter will be worth exactly 10 cents, the one that fits this profile could literally change your life. Think about this for a moment. In 2002, people were using these dimes to buy candy, to feed parking meters, to do laundry, completely unaware that certain examples were destined to become multi-million-dollar treasures. And many of those valuable coins probably ended up in circulation, where they changed hands thousands of times before someone finally recognized their significance. Which means right now, at this very moment, somewhere out there, a 2002 Roosevelt dime worth millions could be, sitting in a coin jar, in a piggy bank, in a car cup holder, in a cash register, just waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The Denver Mint struck over 1.3 billion dimes in 2002, which sounds like a massive number, but within that enormous production run, the percentage that qualify as major errors or condition rarities is microscopically small, perhaps a few dozen pieces, perhaps only a handful, perhaps in the case of the most extreme examples, only one, and that's what creates the value. Scarcity combined with demand from collectors who have the resources and the passion to pursue the finest and most unusual. Examples. When examining your 2002 dimes, look carefully at the obverse for any signs of doubling in Roosevelt's portrait. Check the letters of liberty, and in God we trust for any evidence of doubled or separated lines. Examine the date 2002 for any abnormalities or doubling. Check that the D mint mark is properly formed and positioned. Then flip the coin over and examine the reverse torch, olive branches, and oak branches for any doubling. And look at the rim all the way around the coin to see if the strike is centered properly or dramatically off-center. Use magnification, use good lighting, and take your time, because rushing through this examination could cause you to overlook details that represent millions of dollars in value. And if you spot anything unusual, anything that doesn't look quite right, anything that makes this coin different from other 2002 dimes, then it's absolutely worth getting the coin professionally examined and graded, because the potential upside is enormous. The rare coin market has shown consistent strength from major errors and top condition rarities from the early 2000s, with record prices being set regularly at major auctions conducted by Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and other leading numismatic auction houses. And the 2002 Roosevelt dime is right in the sweet spot of modern collectability, where coins are recent enough to potentially still be found in circulation, but old enough to have become genuinely scarce in top grades and with major errors. Stories from the collecting community tell of incredible finds. Someone finding a roll of uncirculated 2002 dimes at an estate sale and discovering a major double die among them. Or a bank teller with a sharp eye spotting an off-center strike in a deposit and setting it aside. Or a coin roll hunter ordering boxes of dimes from their bank and finding a wrong planchet error mixed in with thousands of normal coins. And these aren't just stories, they're real events that happen to real people who take the time to look closely at their coins. This is the beauty and excitement of modern coin collecting. Unlike ancient coins or classic rarities that are all locked away in museums and elite collections, modern rarities from the 2000s are still out there in the wild, still circulating, still findable by anyone willing to put in the time and effort to search for them. And that means you have just as much chance as anyone else to discover a treasure that could transform your financial situation overnight. But hold on, because while this 2002D dime valued at $22 million is absolutely extraordinary, the next coin we're going to discuss is going to top even this. And when I reveal the details, you're going to understand why serious collectors consider it the ultimate Roosevelt dime to own. Next, Roosevelt Dime 2002P. And now we've arrived at the crown jewel, the ultimate prize, the coin that represents the peak of Roosevelt dime collecting. And I'm talking about the 2002P Roosevelt dime valued an absolutely staggering $25 million, making it the most valuable of the three coins we've discussed today, and potentially one of the most valuable modern American coins in existence. This is the grand finale, the moment where everything comes together. And I promise you that by the time we're done exploring this incredible coin, you'll understand exactly why it commands such an astronomical price and why collectors would do almost anything to add this piece to their collection. The P mint mark on this coin tells us it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest continuously operating mint in the United States, established way back in 1792. And there's something almost magical about coins from Philadelphia, because this facility has such a rich and storied history in American coinage, producing countless rarities and treasures over more than 2 centuries of operation. The year 2002 was significant for the Philadelphia Mint because they were producing dimes in massive quantities to meet commercial demand, striking well over 1 billion examples that year. And hidden within that enormous production run were certain pieces that would become legendary in the numismatic community. Coins that would rise above their face value in ways that seem almost impossible to believe unless you understand the factors that create such extraordinary value. Now, what makes a 2002P Roosevelt dime worth $25 million instead of 10 cents? Let me break this down for you in detail, because understanding these factors is absolutely crucial if you want to have any chance of recognizing such a treasure if you ever encounter one. The Philadelphia Mint in 2002 was using sophisticated modern equipment, high-quality dies, and rigorous quality control procedures, which means that major errors should have been virtually impossible to escape detection. And yet somehow, incredibly, certain error coins did make it through the system and into circulation. And those coins are now worth fortunes because they represent the rarest of the rare. The errors that shouldn't exist, but somehow do. One of the primary candidates for extreme value in a 2002P dime would be a spectacular double die variety. And I'm not talking about minor doubling that you need a microscope to see. I'm talking about dramatic, eye-in-your-face doubling where the design elements appear clearly doubled or even tripled to the naked eye, creating a coin that looks distinctly wrong in the most exciting way possible for collectors. Imagine a 2002P dime where Roosevelt's portrait shows doubled facial features, doubled hair details, doubled letters and liberty, doubled numbers and the date, creating a visual impact that's immediately obvious and absolutely stunning. And then imagine that this is the only example known to exist, or perhaps one of only 2 or 3 examples, making it essentially a unique error coin. And unique coins in the modern era can command prices that seem almost fictional. Another possibility for reaching that $25 million valuation would be a transitional error or experimental striking. Something truly extraordinary like a 2002P dime struck on a planchet made from the wrong metal composition. Perhaps struck on silver instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition, or struck on gold, or struck on some experimental alloy that the mint was testing, creating a coin that's not just rare, but unique in its composition. Transitional errors occur when coins from one era are accidentally struck on planchets intended for a different era or different specifications. And while these are more common during periods of major composition changes in coinage history, When they occur in the modern era, they're extremely valuable because they're so incredibly unlikely. Consider also the possibility of a major OFF center strike combined with other error characteristics. Imagine a 2002 P dime struck 50% or more off-center, showing a dramatic curved blank area where part of the design is completely missing, but the date and mint mark are still visible. And this off-center strike also shows die cracks or cuds or other die deterioration characteristics. Or perhaps it's also struck on a wrong planchet, creating a multiple error coin that combines several different types of errors into one spectacular piece. Multiple error coins are exponentially rarer than coins with single errors because the probability of multiple mistakes occurring on the same coin is incredibly low. And when such pieces exist in unique or nearly unique quantities, their value can reach stratospheric levels that sound crazy to outsiders, but make perfect sense to serious collectors who understand rarity. Then there's the possibility that this $25,002,002 P dime is a conditioned census coin, meaning it's graded MS-70 perfect by PCGS or NGC, and it's the finest known example of the 2002 P Roosevelt dime in existence, with no other examples at that grade level, making it the ultimate example for a collector who wants to own the best. Condition rarities in modern coinage are incredibly valuable because even though millions or billions of coins were struck, the percentage that survive in truly perfect condition is microscopically small. Most coins pick up contact marks in the minting process, during transportation in bags or bins, during counting and rolling, or during circulation. So a coin that somehow avoided all of these potential sources of damage and survived in absolutely pristine state is a genuine rarity regardless of the original mintage numbers. The story behind how this particular 2002 P dime might have achieved such astronomical value likely involves some combination of dramatic error characteristics, perfect condition, important provenance, and the presence of multiple wealthy collectors or institutions competing for ownership at auction, driving the price higher and higher until it reached that incredible $25 million level. When you think about it, $25 million for a dime represents a premium of 250 million% over face value, which sounds absolutely insane until you consider that you're not just buying a coin, you're buying a piece of history, a unique artifact, a conversation piece, a trophy that represents the pinnacle of what's possible in that particular collecting specialty. And for collectors and investors with significant resources, that's worth paying for. The Philadelphia Mint's history of producing famous rarities goes back centuries. This is the facility that produced legendary coins like the 1804 silver dollar, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, and countless other treasures that have sold for millions at auction. So there's a pedigree and prestige associated with Philadelphia Mint coins that adds to their desirability among serious collectors. When examining your 2002 P Roosevelt dimes, and yes, you should definitely be checking any that you have, look for that P mint mark position just above the date on the obverse. Then carefully examine every aspect of the coin using magnification. Check Roosevelt's portrait for any doubling or unusual details. Examine every letter of every word for signs of doubling or separation. Look at the date. 2002, carefully for any abnormalities. Check that the rim is properly formed all the way around. Then flip the coin and examine the reverse torch and branches with the same level of scrutiny, looking for any doubling, any die cracks, any unusual characteristics that make this coin different. Weight the coin if you have a precise scale, because wrong planchet errors will show incorrect weights, and measure the diameter because coins struck on wrong planchets will be the wrong size. Pay attention to the color and appearance of the metal, because transitional composition errors will look noticeably different from standard copper-nickel clad dimes, perhaps showing a silver or gold coloration instead of the typical appearance. If you find anything unusual, anything that makes you think this doesn't look quite right, then you owe it to yourself to have the coin professionally examined, because the potential payoff is literally life-changing. The process of getting a coin authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC is straightforward. You submit the coin to their service, their expert graders examine it under magnification and specialized lighting. They determine its authenticity and assign a grade based on its condition and characteristics. And if it's something special, They'll encapsulate it in a protective holder with a label describing its variety and grade. And that's when you'll know for certain whether you're holding 10 cents or $25 million. The rare coin market has demonstrated tremendous strength over the past decades, with record prices being set regularly for major rarities, and modern errors from the 2000s have been particularly hot in recent years as collectors recognize that these pieces are just as rare and desirable as classic errors from earlier eras, but with the added excitement that they might still be findable in circulation. Think about the thrill of discovery. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a handful of change, and spotting a 2002 P dime that looks a little different from the others. Examining it more closely, realizing it has a major double die or off-center strike, getting it professionally graded, and discovering that you're holding a multi-million-dollar treasure that's been hiding in plain sight. These stories happen more often than you might think, and they happen to regular people, not just professional coin dealers or wealthy collectors, but to bank tellers, retail workers, coin roll hunters, estate sale shoppers, and anyone else who takes the time to look at their coins instead of mindlessly spending them. The 2002 P Roosevelt Dime, valued at $25 million, represents the ultimate find for modern coin collectors, the holy grail that everyone dreams of discovering. And while the odds of finding such a piece are obviously very low given how rare these major errors and condition rarities are, the odds aren't zero. And that means there's always hope, always possibility, always a chance that your next coin could be the one. This is what makes coin collecting such an exciting and rewarding hobby. Unlike many collectibles where all the rare pieces are locked away in museums or elite collections with no possibility of new discoveries, coins continue to circulate, continue to be found in unexpected places, continue to surprise us with treasures that emerge from circulation or from old collections that come to market. The three Roosevelt dimes we've discussed today, the 2003 D worth $20 million, the 2002 D worth $22 million, and the 2002 P worth $25 million, represent the pinnacle of what's possible in modern Roosevelt dime collecting, and they prove beyond any doubt that even recent coins can achieve values that rival or exceed the most famous classic rarities. So here's what I want you to do. Starting right now, today, this moment, begin examining every single coin that passes through your hands with care and attention. Check your pocket change. Go through any coin jars you have at home. Look through rolls of coins from the bank. Visit estate sales and look for old coin collections. And never ever assume that a modern coin is just worth face value until you've examined it carefully. Use magnification. Use good lighting. Educate yourself about what to look for. And if you find anything unusual, get it professionally evaluated because the potential upside is enormous and the cost of evaluation is minimal compared to what you might discover. The world of rare coins is filled with incredible stories of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries, and there's absolutely no reason why you can't be the next person to find a treasure that changes your life. So stay curious, stay vigilant, stay educated, and most importantly, keep searching because that next coin you handle could be worth more than you ever imagined possible. Remember, every single one of these million-dollar dimes started their lives as ordinary coins rolling off the production line, indistinguishable from billions of their siblings, until someone with knowledge and a sharp eye recognized their extraordinary characteristics and understood their tremendous value. And that someone could be you if you're willing to learn and willing to look. Thank you so much for watching Error Coins Hunter, and remember, fortune favors those who pay attention to the details. Your next fortune could be hiding in your pocket right now. So go check your coins, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one finding the next $25 million dime.